I've always been the type of person who enjoys long drives at night. The roads are quiet, the world feels asleep, and it gives me time to think. I never thought something as harmless as a late-night drive could turn into the scariest night of my life. It was last fall, around midnight, when I left my friend's house after helping him move into a new apartment. He lived about 40 minutes away from me, down a stretch of highway that cut through some woods. No gas stations, no houses, just a lonely road and trees on both sides. At first, it felt peaceful. I rolled down the window, listened to music, and just zoned out. But about 10 minutes in, my headlights caught something strange. On the side of the road, there was a man standing completely still. That wasn't too unusual. People break down, people walk. But this guy was different. He was facing the woods, not the road, just standing there, as if he was waiting for something. I drove past quickly, trying not to stare, but something about him unsettled me. He was tall, wearing a hoodie, and even though I couldn't see his face, I felt like he was aware of me. I shook it off and kept driving. But maybe 5 minutes later, I saw another person. This time, a woman. She wasn't walking either. She was crouched down near the edge of the road, her head buried in her knees. Now my stomach was turning. Two people, late at night, in the middle of nowhere. Both just there, not moving, not trying to get help, just waiting. I called my friend on speakerphone, joking nervously about how creepy it was. He laughed it off, but halfway through the call, my phone signal dropped. No bars, no internet, just silence. That's when I saw him again. The man in the hoodie. Except this time, he was standing in the middle of the road, facing me. I slammed on the brakes so hard that my seatbelt locked. My headlights lit up his figure. Same hoodie, same build. But there was no way he could have gotten ahead of me unless he sprinted through the woods, pitch black, and somehow knew exactly where I was going. I honked, I yelled. He didn't move. Then he did something I'll never forget. He tilted his head slightly, and in a voice that sounded too close, like he was speaking inside my car, he said my name. I froze. My windows were up. My doors were locked. But I swear to God, I heard my name as clear as day. Heart racing, I threw the car in reverse, turned around, and drove back the way I came. I didn't care if it took me twice as long. I wasn't passing him again. Except, a few minutes later, I saw the woman again. Only this time, she wasn't crouching. She was standing, facing the road, facing me. I sped past her, without looking. My hands were shaking so bad, I could barely keep control of the wheel. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I saw the glow of a gas station. I pulled in, breathing so hard I thought I might pass out. I sat there for 10 minutes, just gripping the wheel. When I finally looked in my rearview mirror, I wish I hadn't. Behind my car, at the edge of the gas station lights, stood the man in the hoodie, perfectly still. And next to him, the woman. Neither of them moved closer. Neither of them blinked. They just stood there, side by side, watching me. I never drove that highway again. To this day, I don't know how they knew my name, or how they were always one step ahead of me. This happened to me and two friends last summer. We decided to go on a weekend camping trip in the mountains, about 3 hours from where we live. The place was remote, no cell service, no cabins, nothing but trees and dirt roads. Exactly what we wanted. We set up camp near a small creek, far from the main trail. The first night was perfect. We grilled hot dogs, told stories, and sat around the fire until midnight. Nothing unusual. But the second night is when things got strange. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like footsteps outside the tent. At first, I thought it was one of my friends going to the bathroom, but then I realized both of them were still inside the tent, sleeping. I held my breath and listened. The footsteps circled the tent slowly, crunching on leaves, pausing every few seconds. Then I heard the faint sound of someone breathing. I whispered my friend's name to wake him up, and the second he stirred, the footsteps stopped. We waited in silence for what felt like forever, but eventually drifted back to sleep. The next morning, we found something in the dirt, about 10 feet from our tent. A boot print, bigger than any of ours. That day, we debated packing up early, but convinced ourselves it was probably a hiker who had wandered close by mistake. By nightfall, we decided to stay one more night. Big mistake. At around 3 a.m., I woke up again, this time to a sound that froze me in place. A low voice humming. A slow, tuneless hum, coming from just outside the tent. I nudged my friends awake, and all three of us sat up in silence, listening. The humming circled the tent, then stopped right by the entrance. None of us moved. Suddenly, the zipper on the tent door rattled. Someone was trying to open it from the outside. My friend yelled out something like, "Get the hell out of here!" and grabbed a flashlight. He unzipped the tent halfway and shined the light out into the trees. But there was no one there, just the beam of light hitting empty forest. We didn't sleep at all after that. At first light, we packed everything as fast as we could and hiked back to the car. When we finally made it to the ranger station at the base of the mountain, we told one of the rangers what happened. He looked at us for a long time before saying something I'll never forget. "You're lucky you left when you did. We've had reports the past few weeks of a man living out there. People say he sneaks around campsites at night. But when we try to track him, he disappears. No camp, no gear, nothing." The ranger paused before adding, "And every person who's reported him said he was humming